So my name is Marlon Valorizo. I am the Executive Director of the Legal Services Program here at NAICA. I'm joined today by Denise Negron. She's one of our Assistant Directors in the Housing Department. NAICA is a not-for-profit that was established in 1974 to provide housing intervention and assistance to residents of the Bronx. Our homelessness prevention law project provides free legal representation and referral services to over 2,000 households annually, and we receive on average 110 housing hotline calls monthly. So in addition to the ERAP program, we also do have a legal services program, which means that we do also answer hotline calls on the legal side, just so everyone is aware. Gary, did you want to interject, or no? I can keep going?
No, you could go ahead.
Okay. So we're going to start with, who is ERAP for? ERAP is for tenants who are unable to pay rent and utilities. So when we say that, that's to mean that you may have utilities arrears, but that can only be done in conjunction with owing rent. So if you only have utilities, you would do that in a separate application and not via the ERAP application. But if you do owe rent and utilities, you can do it in one application. This is also for tenants who are low income. That means if you're below the 80% AMI, which is the area median income. We will discuss that a little further later, so don't be scared if you don't know what that is at the moment. Unfortunately, homeowners and condo or co-op owners do not qualify. It's a two-step application process, so that means that the tenant does one process, does their entire application, and then submits all their documents. At that point, the landlord is informed that they are to submit their portion, which can be all their documents and their information regarding their banking. Now, it can commence the opposite way. So that means that the landlords can also commence the application, at which point the tenants will be notified that they have to continue with their application. ERAP will pay up to 12 months of rental arrears for anything accrued after March 12th, 2020. Now, we did ask questions because this was a big thing that everyone was requesting. What if I owe January and February of 2020? I was told that you can apply for everything that you owe after March 2020, and then seek assistance from other agencies for those months prior to March 2020. So let's say you owe January and February of 2020, maybe get another agency that has charitable funds to assist you with those 2 months or 3 months prior to March 2020. Also, you can seek up to 3 months of additional rental assistance. So that means if you request 12 months through June of 2021, and you think you need help with July, August, or September, as long as you spend more than 30% of your gross monthly income towards rent, you can also make that request. Now, in the application, it will ask you, do you want 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months of additional household rent assistance? I always tell people, ask for the max 3 months. You can also request assistance with 12 months of electric or gas utility arrears that accrued since March 2020. Also be aware, you're not gonna have to pay this back. So it's not something that's a loan, it's a grant. But if you do commit fraud in the application process, like you don't tell them about income that you have, you can be required to pay it back. So at the end of each application, there's a certification, which at that point will ask you, is everything you've stated truthful? And if you say yes, then that means they're assuming that you've told them all the information about your income. ERAP payments will be made directly to your landlord. So that means that's why there's a landlord portion, so that he can upload his banking information or her banking information, their W-9s, as well as their lease and any other documentation they have. Also, payments to your Con Ed will be made directly to the Con Edison or your other utility company. And here we come to income. So there's 2 income limits. So when I say low income, anyone under 80 AMI does qualify for ERAP. So you can see a household of 1, 66,850, you would qualify. But as you also see, there's another column, which is for under 50 AMI. Under 50 AMI, meaning a family of 1 making 41,800 or less, will be getting what is called prioritization for this month. So that means for the first 30 days, their applications will be given priority. And that doesn't mean that the ones who make 66,850 or less won't be given. It just means that their applications will be seen first, and then the applications for those making under 80 AMI. Keep in mind, and I'm going to keep saying this program is 17 months or until the money runs out. But there's a lot of money, people. There's 220 million. So we assume that it's going to be at least a year this program will be open. So you will be seen, your application will be seen. There is no rush. You will be seen, hopefully in the next 12 months, you can get an application in as long as you're under 80 AMI. But for the first 30 days, those under 50 AMI will get prioritized. All right, to prove income, we must have you, if you're going to either submit it on your own, or you're coming to NAICA to get assistance with submitting the application, we must have you bring in proof of your income. And that means your pay stubs, your bank account deposits, your unemployment letters, your SSI award letters, your W-2, your income tax return. If you have none of that available, then what you can do is something called a self-attestation. That's basically a statement that you're explaining your income and which is notarized. We also have to make sure that anyone 18 and older, except for those who are full-time students, because they can be claimed as a dependent, but anyone 18 and older must submit all their proof of income, and that includes their gross income. And this is your salaries, wages, tips, unemployment, social security benefits, retirement benefits, child support, recurring gifts, and other income. This is shown, like, yet again, through your pay stubs, your employer letters, your W-2s. Remember, citizenship in this application is not an eligibility requirement. That means you can be a citizen or not, and you can be eligible for ERAP. What is not counted as income? So people on a full case of public assistance, that's not counted as income. SNAP benefits, HEAP, foster care payments, sporadic gifts you may receive, groceries that someone who doesn't live with you provides, earned income tax credits, any of these federal stimulus payments that have been sent out recently, that does not count as income. So make sure that if you are going to submit your application by yourself, or if you're coming to NAICA, that you have all these documentation prepared. So that means you should have your ID, which can be your driver's license, your non-government ID, your passport, your EBT card, your birth or baptismal certificate, school registration. Make sure you have social security cards for anyone who has one. Remember, you don't have to be a citizen, so you may not have those IDs, but make sure if you have one, you bring it. Make sure that you have your signed lease or expired lease. Make sure you have a rent receipt or canceled check or money order if your lease is unavailable. And if no other documentation is available, then at least a statement from your landlord that is also notarized that states that this is your rent and this is how much you owe. So yet again, proof of income. Make sure you bring in your pay stubs, unemployment proof, your W-2s, your income tax return, and at the end, self-attestation statement, which is notarized, stating that you have no other documentation available, but this is your income. Make sure that when you come in to do the application, you have your lease, your rent receipt, or your definitely bring in your utility bills. I've already had people coming in and they do have utility arrears, but have failed to bring the bill with them. We will need a copy of that bill if you want to apply for both the rent arrears and the utility arrears. Also, they will need to sign a certification agreeing that once you submit all this documentation, that it is truthful and accurate. The landlord, after the tenant has submitted all their documentation, the landlord will get something, an indication that they now have to go into the OTDA website and complete their portion, which is submitting their W-9, submitting a lease, their direct deposit information, submitting any other documentation showing like a rent breakdown showing what is owed to them. And also for any landlord who has 20 or fewer units, you also have to submit an attestation saying that, because you too will be getting priority. So that means within the first 30 days, any landlord, a small owner who owns a building of 20 or fewer units will get prioritized over, their tenants will get prioritized over those who are in larger buildings. Yet again, you'll still be able to apply if you live in a building with 200 apartments, but those with 20 or fewer will get priority. The landlord also must be willing to, after he submits his documentation, must be willing to accept it, stating that ERAP payments will satisfy the tenant rent obligations, that they will waive any late fees, that they will not increase the monthly rent above the current monthly rent, that they will not evict the household on behalf of whom the ERAP payment has been made for expiration of the lease. So that's been a little tricky point for some of us, because some of the landlords are like, but the lease is going to expire in 2 months. I don't want to keep them there. But then why would we pay all this money and have ERAP pay all the rent arrears if you're not willing to keep them there at least 1 year? Which is why they made this requirement. Also, if the landlord does have like a private home and is for fewer units, they can state that an immediate family member wants to move in, which could be the only exception where you may get ERAP payments and then face an eviction due to a holdover because the landlord wants a family member to move into his private home. But for the most part, they must agree not to evict the tenant at least for 1 year after the payment is made from ERAP. Now, for those people who only have utility arrears, like I said earlier, ERAP is for rent in conjunction with utility arrears. So if you only have utility arrears, please take a picture of this page and you can apply on your own at this website, or you can even go to Access HRA and try and do a one-shot for the utility. And Access HRA is an app. Okay, the type of properties. So for the ERAP application, you can live in a rent stabilized building, a regular rent, non-regulated building. You can live in a co-op or condo rental. You can live as a renter in a single family home or in a manufactured home or manufactured home lot rental. Now you cannot be the co-op owner, but you must be the renter. So anybody who's a co-op or condo owner, I would encourage you, if you have arrears, to try and do a one-shot deal, and you can apply through Access HRA as well. And also if you have a subsidy, because that was the big question. So example, today we had one for a FEPS client, and we did the application for just their portion of the FEPS arrears. So you can apply for if you have Section 8, NAICA, or even FEPS. So where does my agency come in? So we have a hotline that will be manned 6 days a week. Sorry, 6 days a week. We've added Saturdays. And we will be assisting you through the phone to apply on your own. And you can also get assistance that we would apply for you. This can be done 2 ways. If you know how to maneuver and email us your documents, we will accept your documents. We will do the application virtually with you, and we will upload the documents for you. If you cannot do that, then we will, when you call in, we will set up an appointment. You will come in and meet with one of our housing specialists or paralegals, and they will submit the application with you here in person. And speaking as someone who has done an application, it takes about 45 minutes to an hour, and that is with the tenant having every piece of information with them. So just be prepared that you will be here for at least an hour if you are coming for assistance. And yet again, the program runs 17 months. Please spread that out there because people think that the program's only for 30 days. It is not. It is until the funds are finished, but at least it's 12 to 17 months. We are positive it will last that long. This is our NAICA hotline number, 718-866-0038. Like I said, we're open Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 to 5 for the hotline. Tuesday and Thursdays, we have the hotline open from 8 a.m. till 7 p.m. and on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. So we are available on off hours for workers. And if you have a question and you cannot call, please email us at NAICA-ERAP@NAICANY.org, and we are answering questions as well as setting up appointments for those who cannot access the internet and need assistance with that. I want to give some caveats as someone who's been doing applications. It has been overwhelming with the number of people accessing the internet. So I will tell people, please just be patient. Try to do your application on off hours. So like 11, 10 o'clock at night when there's not thousands of people on the website, it keeps crashing. I would also encourage you to register. So when you go on, it's a landlord registration page and a tenant. Register. Created a username password because you can go back and resume your application. You can go back and check on your status of application. If you don't do that, you're not going to be able to. So I encourage you all, please, off hours, register. And if at first you try to access the website and you fail, let's say you're on Chrome, which is a browser, try using another browser such as Internet Explorer or Safari or Microsoft Edge. We have been noticing that the website works for a myriad of reasons for different people on a different browser. So please try your best to just keep changing the browser if you are wanting to do it on your own. And if you're not, then call the hotline, set up an appointment, and we can help you do it in the office. But we have had people who are trying to do it on their own, and it's just do it in off hours and try different browsers. And I think that's mostly what I have to say, but I'm going to turn it over to Samantha, who works for NAICA, so that she can read some of your questions if there are any.
Hi, so I see some people raising their hands. Please submit your questions in the Q&A box. So far, we had one question from Laura Rios. She was saying that she was having problems downloading her documents.
Okay.
Denise did answer, but I don't know if you want to elaborate more.
I want to elaborate on that because today I had an issue with downloading the documents. So once we get the documents and we start to download them, one, they have to be 4 megabytes or smaller. So right there, some people are like, what does that mean? And two, they have to be in JPEG or PDF. Like there's certain version types that they have to be in. Like it can't be Microsoft Word, correct? It's not Microsoft Word. So you have to make sure it's in the right format and the right size of the file, or it might crash on you. Two, when you do upload, today I uploaded a bunch of documents on an application and then all of a sudden it crashed and I couldn't see it. And I ended up so I will say at the beginning, when you register, once you register and we start an application, there's an application number that's given. That application number is like gold. Do not lose that application number. Take a picture of it because that application number, I was able to call OTDA's hotline and say, what happened? The website crashed after I uploaded and did the whole application. I uploaded all the documents. They were able to find it and say, yes, we see it. We see the 5 documents you uploaded. It's good. Here's your confirmation number. And they had to give me the confirmation number over the phone. So just please maintain that application number. If we give it to you, or if you start it on your own and do it from home, make sure you keep it. It is gold. And I think it's the application number and your birth date are what you need to call OTDA if the same thing happens to you that happened to me today, which it crashes. Any other questions, Samantha? So Denise, I'm sorry, I like jumped in.
So we have another question from CJ. He's asking, is this program only for low income in the Bronx?
So Denise, are you going to answer that one or you want me to? Okay, I can answer it though. So I have the income limits on the screen right now, but also it is not only for the Bronx, it's actually across the 50 states. So what happened is that New York City is doing one ERAP portal for the 5 boroughs. So for the 5 boroughs, you'll use this ERAP portal that you'll see on NAICA's website, or if you Google it yourself. But if you go to NAICA's website under the housing, you will see that under ERAP, it'll say apply, and you click here, it'll take you right to the website where you can apply. But that's for the 5 boroughs. But Yonkers has its own ERAP portal. Other areas of the state have their own ERAP portals. I think Long Island, there's a few cities that have their own ERAP portals. But it is throughout the 50 states. So it is not only New York City. And also, if you look at the income limits, you have to meet those income guidelines under 80 AMI. So family of 2, 76,400. Family of 3, 85,950. So look at the income guidelines, take a picture of it if you guys want, and that way you'll know how much it is so you can qualify to apply.
So next question, I think we need to clarify about, so this question says, how much rent will NAICA pay?
Okay, so basically we're just gonna help you with the application for ERAP, but the rent arrears will be coming from OTDA. So, and HRA. So they're working in conjunction to, once we get the application submitted, that's the only job that they hire, basically have NAICA here to do. We're going to be assisting you do the application, and thereafter OTDA and HRA will be paying the funds. So we won't, that's why I encourage everybody to create and register your account so you can be checking on the status of your application. And they will be sending you either by the form you asked for, an email, a letter by mail, or a text telling you the status of your application as well. So the money will get sent directly from them to your landlord, and you'll receive a reward, an award letter, like a copy of it in the email, text, or by mail within, like, I guess, like a few weeks after you get approved.
Next question, do we do in-person application assistance?
We are doing that. So, okay, I'm sorry, Denise, I'm all jumping all over you. So basically we do, but please, that's why I was saying
It's
about
okay.
emailing. By emailing and calling, please set up an appointment, because if not, then remember, we're still in the time of COVID. We're trying to minimize our exposure and keep everyone safe. We want the tenants safe and we want our work staff safe. So what we're doing is we're setting up appointments. And like I said, it takes about an hour for each application. So we set up an appointment so to give you at least an hour's window, so that way before the next person shows up. So please do not just drop in at the office, which we are located at 12 East Clark Place, but please do not drop in without an appointment. We want to make sure that, like I said, we keep our staff and the tenants safe. So we want to make appointments for everyone so that when they come in, we're ready to go. And like I said, those are for the people who cannot process on their own, because we can do it virtually as well by you emailing us your documents and us working on the application remotely.
Next question, this person saying that even if you're still working, will you still be able to apply for the funds?
Yes, so as long as you have proof that you have been in arrears, you either have an increase in household bills and utilities and or a decrease.
Next question, do eligible people have to pay back once they get the financial help? Will they have to pay it later?
I know I was about to
No, they
jump
do
in.
not.
I know, I'm like,
Sorry. No, you don't have to pay this back.
it's a grant. It is not a loan. It's not like one of these loans. No, it is a full grant. They'll pay it is a one-time grant and they're going to pay it. And that's another thing. I've heard questions from people. I don't know if it's on there. Will this provide ongoing? Only for 3 months prospective rent. That's it. For ongoing rent, there are other programs, city FEPs, but for this program, it's just the back rent as well as only 3 months of prospective rent. If you qualify, because your gross income you're paying 30% of your gross income towards rent.
Next question, where can you go to apply if you live in Yonkers or Mount Vernon?
Yonkers has their own website. And I don't know, Samantha, if you could, or maybe Denise, one of you can look for it, because they do have I don't know if we can add the link to the Q&A.
Yes, we can. Maybe if you give me a minute, I can search.
Because they do actually, like I was saying earlier, some cities have taken it upon themselves to have their own ERAP portals. So Yonkers is one of those that has their own portal. So you can apply through their portal. And I think they have an agency that's assisting them as well. So in the Bronx, NAICA is assisting tenants with their applications. But in Yonkers, they have their own agency that's also assisting tenants. So if you also need assistance, you will reach out to that partnering agency there. And every borough has their own assistance. So like example, NAICA's in the Bronx, but Catholic Charities is assisting tenants with applications in Brooklyn. So every borough will also have an agency that's assisting tenants with their applications.
So someone is asking if we can email this presentation so they can use that as a reference.
I will ask my department, because that's our outreach department. I will ask them after this if we can email it. Especially, I know that sometimes we will email them to local politicians just so they have it as a reference. So I will ask our outreach department after this to see what they state. But you can go to the NAICA website, just so you know, and send, like I told you, that ERAP, the NAICA ERAP at NAICANY.org, and ask us questions you have after this. It may be easier to get through to us by an email versus the hotline, because sometimes the hotline, remember, there's multiple people on the hotline, but the calls, we've been inundated with calls. That's why I was telling people, please be patient. It is a program that lasts 17 months. It's not a month. I don't know where some people got misinformation and were told that it only lasted a month. And I think that came about because there is a priority given in the first 30 days to certain types. Like we said before, if you're under 50 AMI in your income, you're prioritized. If you live in a building with 20 or fewer units, your application is prioritized. If you're a domestic violence victim or a victim of human trafficking, your application is prioritized. So I think when they heard those prioritizations, people thought that's it, the application's over on June 30th. It is not. It is just priorities that are given to certain areas that were disproportionately affected by COVID. Those areas are prioritized. So those are the things that will be prioritized in the first 30 days. But after that, on July 1st, every application will still be reviewed and there'll still be money available. It's just that you're going to get priorities for those first 30 days for certain types of applications. So please, everyone, be patient. We've been getting over 200 calls sometimes a day. So it's very hard to answer all those calls. So it may be easier to just send an email if you could, asking your question. And I want to reiterate the glitches. There's a lot of glitches, people. The site crashes often. So please register an account and please be patient. Like I said, try and do them in off hours, like at night, 9 o'clock at night when you're home, when there's not too much traffic on the website, because I have noticed that when sometimes you'll finish the whole application, it will completely crash. That's why I said, keep your application number. It comes up in the top of the application as you're going through it. Take a picture of it. If you have to call OTDA and they have to retrieve it, at least you'll have your application number and they could work to retrieve it for you.
Next question, is there a limit to what ERAP can pay in rent arrears?
Well, the only limit they've told us is the 12 months back. So an example, if your rent is 2,000, they haven't said only affordable rent. So if your rent is 2,000 a month and it's 12 months, that's 24,000 in rent. So I'm gonna say there's not a limit, it's just that it only goes to rent that you owe since March 13th, 2020. So that's why I was telling people, if you owe something prior to March 2020, please seek, like let's say you owe December 20, let's say January and February of 2020, seek other agencies like Catholic Charities, Coalition, Home Base to help you with those months before you apply for the ERAP, because the ERAP will cover March forward.
Next question, someone is asking where can they apply if they live in Brooklyn?
Do they mean, but they can apply the same, they can even apply through our website if they need to, click here and apply. But that's if they're doing it on their own. If you want what agency is available in Brooklyn, then that I have to look up for you, and that might give me a list.
Yeah, I'm gonna send them the link for
you have
where they can just put in their zip code and it'll pop up.
Okay, I know Catholic Charities is one of the agencies in Brooklyn that's assisting, but I don't know like for which neighborhoods Catholic Charities is assisting, because I did speak to someone and they are doing applications there for people in Brooklyn. Any other questions?
Next question, how do you know if your application was accepted?
We'll be sending a award. I'm so sorry, Denise. I'm supposed to be sitting back, so let me let you answer that.
It's okay. You will receive a confirmation code and it will be submitted to your email.
So example, today I did an application and it says, how would you like to receive your confirmation code? And it says by email, by text, or by mail, like paper mail. And my poor client was like, I'm never gonna look at a text. I'm never gonna look at an email. Can they send it in the mail, like paper mail? And I was like, that's fine. So her award letter, if she gets approved, will be sent by mail. So you choose as the applicant how you wanna receive it. Because some people are tech savvy. They only wanna look at their text. They only wanna look at their emails. Our client basically was like, no, I'd rather just get a paper award letter if I'm approved in the mail.
Only the renter can apply for ERAP. If you are renting the room, if you're living in the single room, you cannot apply, but you can go to HRA to seek assistance.
I feel like I missed the question. What was the question?
It's in the bottom. They live in a single room, not an apartment. They own rent. Can ERAP assist?
I did read today, as a matter of fact, when I was doing the application,
Yeah.
are you renting an apartment or a room? Or sublease?
No, they're renting the room.
Yeah, no, I mean, in the actual application, when you go in to do the application, it will ask you, are you the renter of the entire apartment? Are you subleasing the apartment, or are you renting a room? So I would encourage people, even if they're only renting a room, to go in there, register, and start the application and see what happens. You know, I've told people, because I found that a little strange when it said, are you only renting a room? That makes it seem as though you may be eligible if you're only renting a room, when it had that question in there. So I'm going to tell people, just apply. You may get something back saying, I'm sorry, you're only renting a room, you don't qualify, but it's better to apply and hear no than not apply and you could have maybe done it. Because every day OTDA is changing their rules. I mean, we literally had a meeting today at 2, and they said they'll get back to us on some of our questions that we had regarding like a roommate applying. And these are questions that we have ongoing, and every day they give us new answers. So I'm always telling people, email us the questions and we may have a different answer for you tomorrow from OTDA.
Next question, can our coordinators refer their clients to NAICA to get the application completed?
Yes, they can call our hotline and or email our NAICA ERAP. It's on the presentation. If Marlene, you can go back page 2. So that is our hotline number where they can call. And right at the bottom is our email.
I would encourage people, if you're going to send tenants, maybe reach out to us first so we can send you the renter checklist. We have a landlord checklist and a renter's checklist. So that way you can give it to your clients and they can know what documents they need to send in to us. So they know that they're ready when they come in with their lease, with their birth certificate, socials, their IDs. That way they'll have all their documents with them and they won't come in. And then I already had someone who came in just to pick up a checklist of what they need to bring in. And I sort of was like, that's so sad. They made the trip all the way down just to pick up a checklist of what documents they will need to bring in next time. So maybe if you are working for an agency, reach out to us at that email and say, hi, I work for an agency. Can you send me the renter and landlord checklist? So that way you have those checklists and you can get your clients prepared.
Next questions, what documents do landlords need to submit?
They will have to submit a completed W-9 tax form, an executed lease with tenant applicant. If no written lease, a canceled check, evidence of funds transfer or documentation of last full monthly rent, documentation of rent due, banking information.
And remember I said about the attestation, that's for those who have buildings 20 or fewer units in them. So you get priority. So if your building has only 6 units, you need to attest that in a statement notarized that your building only has 6 units or fewer. So that way you can get priority before other landlords. And remember, once you complete your portion and you submit all this, you still have to that will be now told to your tenant to complete their portion. So it's a twofold portion. You complete, the landlord completes it, then the tenant is informed to complete their portion, or the tenant completes it and now the landlord's informed to complete their portion. It's private, so neither can see the other, but that way they have both portions being filled out, one for the landlord and one for the tenant. And also landlords, please also register an account. You have the option in there through the drop down.
Someone is asking, how can they make an appointment at NAICA so they can help them fill out the application?
Well,
I would assume through the NAICA ERAP email.
It's faster because the hotline, like I said, inundated. We get hundreds of calls. So you're gonna get through faster by emailing us.
Landlords can apply on behalf of the tenants. Once the landlord completes the application on behalf of the tenant will receive a notification as well.
Someone is asking that they have an attorney at NAICA. Will they be doing the application, or does the client have to do the application?
So our clients, we already started our application. So if you are a NAICA, please, you're a NAICA client, please reach out to your staff member, your housing assistant, or your attorney, because we're doing that without you guys having to call in. We're already doing that. We're trying to go through all our files, all our clients, and we're trying to get all the applications ready. Denise can vouch for that all her staff are doing it. They're going through all their files, right? And just trying to get all their applications submitted for the clients who are already clients of NAICA. Of course, that doesn't mean we're not helping people who are not clients of NAICA. We're gonna try and help everyone. We are helping everyone. I had a client today that came in that just needed help and I assisted her doing the application. But it means that if you're already a client of NAICA, we're trying to work with you and get your application done as well. I wanted to reiterate that you can have a subsidy, because I don't know if people heard me before. So that means if you have Section 8, you live in a NYCHA project, or you have FEPS, like a lot of our clients have FEPS, that means that your portion is due. Let's say you owe your portion for some reason, you can also apply for the ERAP for your portion.
Someone is asking again, the requirements that the tenants have to submit.
Documents. State ID, Social Security, proof of rental arrears, your rent breakdown, proof of residency, proof of income, your copy of gas or electric bill. If you would like, I can copy the link to the checklist website and send it to you.
That would be great, Denise. Yeah, if you could copy the link to the checklist.
Will there be an ERAP presentation in other languages?
Yes, we are actually having another NAICA ERAP presentation on Thursday in Spanish. So this exact same thing, it'll be all in Spanish, including the presentation, and the question and answers will all be in Spanish as well.
So let's do a last call. So if anyone else have any questions they would like to ask, please submit it to the Q&A box.
Also, the application is available in multiple languages. So when you do go on the website, you'll click down right next to where it has, it'll say English on the very top of the application page, and you can click it and it'll say Spanish. It'll have multiple languages. I think we were looking through them today. So Samantha was helping me to see all the languages that they have. So there's at least 8 different languages that the application is available. So please look on the website and you can see, you can do the application in Spanish, you can do it in English, and you can do it in another language that is there.
So I was able to figure out what the other languages were. So it's English, Spanish, Arabic, Chinese, Haitian Creole, Korean, Russian, Hindi, and Hebrew.
So those are all the languages in which you can process your application if you go on the OTDA website. So are there any other questions? I hope we answered as much as possible. Like I said, daily we're getting new questions and new answers. And we're gonna try and, even for the Spanish one, if we have updated information, we will try and give it to you. So example, I have a question, like someone said, what if my landlord doesn't wanna take the ERAP and doesn't wanna process his portion of the application? That was a very good question. So I emailed OTDA right away and I'm waiting for their response. So does OTDA get involved at that point when the landlord says, I'm not gonna fill out my portion? So these are the questions that are up, every day they're cropping up, and we will be asking the questions to OTDA as we go along, and we will be trying to give you guys information. Like I said, you can always reach us at the hotline. You can reach us at the email address, NAICA ERAP at NAICANY.org. But we're also on different social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. We're gonna try and save and upload this presentation today to our YouTube page, so that way if people can't watch it now, you can watch it in the future and try and get information. But you can email us please at the NAICA ERAP at NAICANY.org, so that way if you have questions that we didn't answer today. And also Thursday, 6 o'clock, same time, but in Spanish. So please join in on Thursday if you want to hear the same presentation, but in Spanish. Any other questions?
One more question. They're asking if this presentation will be given again, but you already answered that we will post this on YouTube in the future.
We may, can you ask outreach if it will be on the, is it NAICA? That's the, when they go on YouTube, they just have to search NAICA?
So at the NAICA website, if you go on top, they have the links. You can click on it and it will show you there.
Okay, perfect. So when you go on the NAICA website, which is the NAICANY.org, you go to the housing and you'll also see the landing page as well for the ERAP. So you can apply there and click here and you can apply for the ERAP application if you're able to do it on your own.
They can go on YouTube and also just type in NAICA NY.
That's what I was wondering. They could probably go on YouTube and just search, because I know me, I like to just go straight to YouTube. So you can search through NAICA NY and that way you can watch this. We'll try and upload it within the next few days. We may do it after we have both English and Spanish done, but I'll find out and then we'll upload it there, and that way you'll be able to rewatch it. But I encourage people to email us if you have questions.
Okay, that's it. There are no more questions.
Well, it was great speaking to everyone. Like I said, we're here to help you. Please call us, please email us. Like I said, please be patient on the phones. Our staff has been killing themselves. I mean, really killing themselves. And I'm really taking this opportunity to thank them, trying to get these applications in and answer these calls. So if you could, and you can't get through, please email us, because that's an easier, faster route versus the calls which are coming in fast and furious. And thank you, Denise. Thank you, Samantha. Samantha was
Thank you.
giving us the questions today. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you for participating.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.